Hello, hello. It's been a while. Hello, good day, good people. Good day or good evening, wherever you're watching from. I wanted to take some time to answer some questions that were emailed to us on our Reclaiming Our Identity email account, which is Destination West Africa at gmail.com. And it's been a while since this person sent me these questions, so I'm publicly apologizing for it taking so long for us to make a video. The questions were emailed with the expectation of an email response, which I did. But I thought that the questions were such that they should be shared with everyone because there are a lot of questions on here that are really good that other people may have. And, our goal is to inform as much as we possibly can based on our experience and our own research. So I promised the individual after answering a few of the questions via email that I would also make a video and I would answer all of the rest of the questions. So there are 10 questions that were asked. Actually, there was an additional question, and I'll start with that one, um, which was, are there snakes and spiders in Rwanda? And should that person be worried about seeing those because they are afraid of spiders, as are many, many people? And so my response was, and what I will share with everybody is yes, there are, just like everywhere there are, but my family never encountered any snakes ever. But there are a variety of little spiders that we did see often. They're tiny little spiders and they hop. There's one particular kind. I don't know the name of any of these. I'm not an insect expert or a bug person. I don't get into that. So I can't tell you exactly what kind they are, but there are a couple different varieties that we saw. And so one of them was a teeny tiny little one and it would hop really quickly, but they're so small. I mean, if you're gonna want to eradicate them, I'm saying this nicely, and prevent them from being in your own personal living space, they're easy to just, they don't hop really far, but they're quick. And then there are some that look like granddaddy long legs with the long stringy hair type legs. Saw those a couple times. And then there was another one that's kind of a speckled brown spider, slightly larger than that other teeny tiny little one that we might see on the curtain sometimes. Now, I will say that we probably saw them in our home because our house did not have screens on the window. If you've seen a previous video that I have done about when you're doing your real estate searches, hey, we miss you guys too. We miss you too. We keep up with the videos. That's so sweet of you to jump on. The residential tourists, our friends that we came to love in Rwanda, who are now in Kenya making more amazing content, just said hello. And we miss you dearly. Love you. We hope everything's going well. I know you guys have had some new adventures that we've been able to see. So thank you so much for saying hi. But so I was saying, oh, there are homes that have screens on the windows so that when you open the window for fresh air, things can't come in and out. The house that we were renting before we left, we didn't request that they put screens on the windows because there were a couple other things that we asked for that were higher priorities for us, like closing in the shower. And he did an amazing job. He made beautiful showers. They were more like bathhouses. They were huge with glass and everything. So that and some other things for the kitchen and bringing the laundry room inside. So those are kind of big asks. So we didn't ask if the screens could be closed. And we had the house fumigated before we moved in. So we weren't really concerned about stuff coming in. Although we did have an experience where a frog got in. And our guard just scooted it on out and took care of that. Hello, let's see. Hi there. I've been watching your videos. I'm curious if you can recommend a church with less than 2-hour services. Oh, yes. So I'm doing this video alone, but my husband's in the room. We've been extremely busy, which is why it's taken us so long to do a video answering these questions. Lots of church, community activities, children, extracurricular. And so we have not been able to get together. But since he's in the room, I'll have him to confirm this for me. Our church services were typically at least an hour to an hour and a half, not 2 hours, right, honey, when we were going? So we are Seventh day Adventists. The churches that we attended and visited when we were there were Adventists. I don't think we had an opportunity to visit any other churches. And we befriended and came to love another couple that attended. Which church did
I don't remember the name of the church.
that we?
It's by Mount Kenya
So
University.
in which city was that, babe? No, no, the big church near the hospital where they went to church was in which sector? Oh, we can't remember. I'm gonna have to come back on the chat and tell you. But there's a very highly well-spoken church. What was the name of it, babe?
I don't remember. I think it's New Life.
New Life, that's what it was. And they said they had amazing worship experiences there, and they were not long. They're about an hour to an hour and a half as well. It wasn't in Kanombe, it wasn't in Kimiranko.
It was in Kagarama.
Kagarama. It was in Kagarama. New Life in Kagarama. Try visiting there and see how your experience is. They worship on Sunday. And we heard a lot of good things. We would go to Bible study on Wednesdays with our friends. And there were several other church members that would study the Bible with them, and they attended that church as well. And they had a good experience. So I hope that that's helpful. Yes, you're welcome. So yes, spiders. We did see quite a bit of spiders, but nothing, too major alarming. Our children were able to get rid of them for us. I'll say it kindly. Or scoot them on out or what have you. But like I said, it's because I liked the cross breeze. I like to keep the house open, airy, and fresh during the day. And then as the evening approached, we would always close the windows because we didn't want to have to deal with mosquitoes coming in the house. And we didn't have a huge problem with that either because we had the house fumigated. But that's probably why we saw more spiders than some others may possibly see. So that was one question. And like I said, we never encountered snakes. We heard stories about people who were maybe out in the village or out in the grassy areas that may have encountered them. But that was never an issue for us. They never came in the house, and we never even saw them. And we walked quite a bit too. So hope that's helpful. Question number 1. Looking back on your journey to Rwanda, are there things you wished you would have packed? Y'all. Woo. And things you regret packing or bringing? I hear it can be cold in Rwanda and not as warm as, say, Kenya. I'm planning on coming to Rwanda next year, but don't know if I should be selling or giving away my heavier jackets and even coats. This is an excellent question. I think this is one of that I answered for them. I regretted leaving some of my heavier sweaters and at least one heavier coat. And by heavier, I just mean maybe a wool pea coat. I wish I had it, but we were able, let's see. So I had an opportunity to go back to the States from Rwanda for my parents' anniversary, and I just grabbed a bigger, heavier sweater that's longer, and I got some light jackets and a heavier jacket, but I didn't bring heavy coats. Now, we saw people with big wool, thick, heavy scarves, heavy coats, puffer coats with hoods, because it just depends on your preference and your body temperature. If you're cold natured, which I am, you're probably going to want to take something pretty heavy to at least have, because always better to have and not need than to need and not have. So I'm regretted not taking those with me initially, because some of the evenings and early and mornings are quite chilly. When we would get up to take the children to school, the house would be really cool because a lot of the homes start with cinder blocks. They're not wood framed homes. They're very sturdy. So and tile on the floor or marble on the floor, and that without having carpet, kept the house very cool, which is great for the hot days. But in the cooler mornings and in rainy season, on the rainy days or in the cooler evenings, I'd get pretty cold or pretty chilly. Sometimes we'd stay out on a Saturday evening after we left afternoon church program. And I remember being cold, and I had a hoodie. I did make sure that I took a couple hoodies and I would put my hood on my head. But if you're cold natured, I would definitely take it. I regret giving away and donating some of my nicer, heavy coats. I've talked about that in a video. Um, for like dressier, I like to wear a nice dress coat when I go out to dinner or to church, to go along with my church attire. And I gave away two really nice wool coats. One of them had a fake fur collar. That's neither here nor there. But yes, I regret giving away some of those and some of my other sweaters. I wish I had kept them because now here we are back in the States and I could have had those, but God was able to bless somebody else with them. So heavy, take light jackets, heavy jacket, sweater, heavy sweater, and at least a heavy coat. Because you might also travel. If you're going to go into the northern region of Rwanda, it's cold. If you plan to tour and visit the area where the gorillas are, where Gorillas in the Mist was filmed, northern Rwanda is very cold. It's higher elevation. It's thick with foliage and a lot of forest area, and it's cold and rainier and misty. So, yeah, I would suggest take something to have it, and then if you don't need it, then you don't need it because it gets pretty warm in the middle of the day. So, but yeah, that's to answer that question. Question number 2. Who picked you up from the airport when you came to Rwanda? When we first got there, we had arranged with someone that we had become friends with prior to getting there. They made arrangements for us to have transportation. And because we were moving there, and there are 5 of us, and the airline allowed us to have 2 checked baggages, a carry-on, and a personal baggage. We all had that. So we had quite a bit of luggage. Each of us had our max allotment. So we needed a car and a van. And prior to going, like I said, we had made a connection with a wonderful couple. They were very helpful. They bent over backwards to see what they could do to help us. And he called in a personal request to hire someone for us to be there waiting for us to pick us up from the airport, and they had our name and everything. So he made the arrangements. That gentleman from the couple made the arrangements for someone to pick us up from the airport. So you're going to want to do that. We had also, when we visited, we became friends with one of the administrators of the Blacks Pat expat WhatsApp group. And so she added us as that man, she added us to that group, and we were able to communicate with her as well. I think, and she had made a recommendation. And then after her making her recommendation is when we met the other couple, and he took it upon himself to make arrangements for us. So if you have visited Rwanda before and you have a connection there, see if you can get a recommendation and a WhatsApp phone number for someone that you can make arrangements to pick you up from the airport. Otherwise, there are services there. You can use Yego. They have vans and cars. It is the older transport service there in Rwanda, the most popular and most common. Turns out it's not the least expensive. And I only say their name because they have small SUVs and minivans. VW Move, Volkswagen's rideshare service, which has an app, VW Move. They also provide transportation from the airport, but they don't have larger vehicles, I understand, because we were going to consider taking them when we were returning back to the US. And they have small SUVs and sedans, but they don't have minivans or larger vans. Their cars are newer. They use Google Maps. They're proficient in English. So around town transportation in Kigali, I recommend VW Move. My cousin Connection will pick you up. Hey, all right. My cousin Connect. I forgot. Okay, so J Essence also has a YouTube channel. So J Essence has a website. Well, she's a YouTuber. She's all kinds of things. She's amazing. She has started a library and tutorial service in one of the outskirts villages of Kigali, and she has a website called My Cousin Connection, and they have all things Kigali and Rwanda on there. And you can look that up, go on to their website, My Cousin Connection, and just click in their um, website menu and see the various things that you want to find out about. They even have a link to one of their other websites, which is, I think it's Kigali 360, and you can find out what's on the calendar and what's happening throughout the year. So thank you for reminding me about My Cousin Connection and that they will pick you up. I wonder if that's my husband. Okay, so there's another option. The next question is, how were you able to get your furniture made? Okay, how was the process? How did you find the people to build those items for you? So we got referrals and recommendations from J Essence, My Cousin Connection, from the Black Spat WhatsApp group of family of people there in Kigali that are Black Americans, and from our friend Autumn, and just from people. We talk to people, we ask people, we put it on the WhatsApp chat. Hey, where did you guys get your furniture made? Are there any recommendations for a carpenter who can make this specific thing? Or you send a screenshot of what you're looking for. And we also talk to some residents, people who are from Rwanda, and we were told, we were suggested, it was recommended, I can't think, it was recommended that we go to Jizozi Market, which is like a furniture warehouse outside. And we just happened upon a gentleman. I think what it was a lot of the carpenters have on display different things that they have made or can make, models. And we just walked around and we found a particular area that had some furniture that appealed to us. It looked like something that we had already been looking at and considering purchasing. It looked like it was well made. We asked who the carpenter was for that furniture. Yeah, someone went and got him for us. He did not speak English very well, but he did well with pictures. Um, and we communicated well enough to be able to have him to make our furniture very inexpensively. We got a 2 meter, is it 2 meter? A really long dining room table that 8 chairs could fit at, with the chairs, for $350. And it was a faux marble top with solid wood construction legs, everything else on the bottom. We did find, though, once it was delivered, because the floor models always look better than what you get. So in our experience, it could have been better put together. Some of the stitching was off. Some of the staples were a little loose. One of the legs of the chairs was not level, so we had to put something under it. But overall, aesthetically, it looked great. It would have held up okay, except when, you know what, one chair we leaned back in, or my son leaned back in, and the leg just kind of flopped. So we decided to go with Qilan, Qilan. It is a Chinese owned furniture business in Kigali that hires Rwandans to do the carpentry, and they work in the shop and everything. And they have one in Kagarama. We had our chairs remade. We kept the table. It was beautiful. So that's how we found it. We went to Gizosi, Gizosi, to the market. You can't miss it. Their wardrobes and shoe shelves and cabinets and kitchen sets and chairs and sofas. You just see it. It's open, and it's a large fenced in area, and you can just walk around and look at the different offerings that are there and ask for the carpenter. Gizosi Market. Thank you, honey. My husband's on the chat. He's helping me out. Thank you. I appreciate it. That is how we found the person. And negotiating, you can bargain. As I said, we did not spend a lot of money on the construction and the delivery of our furniture, because they also have individuals who kind of just hang around and they say, do you need that delivered? I can deliver it. And you make arrangements for the date and time. Now, remember, if you have seen our videos before, my husband will tell you that they're not very time conscious. It's very elastic there as far as time is concerned. So you have to be adamant about when you're going to have someone home, when you need it to be there, what time you need it, how many days you need it in, and keep checking on them. We would drive by. WhatsApping, is it ready? Is not enough, because we were told yes, or it'll be ready tomorrow. And then we'll get there tomorrow and not a nail has been hammered into the wood. That happened with my children's beds. The construction of the bed was delayed by 2-3 weeks, maybe 4. When we had to continue to go by there, and I want to see it. How far have you come? What's your progress? I'm not really liking the way that that's coming out. Can you please modify this? Can you tweak that? I would stay on top of your carpenter. The carpenter that made our beds, the 3 other beds for our home, was different than the carpenter that made for our living room set and our dining room set. We had the same person to do the living room and dining room and the master bedroom bed, and then another gentleman and his team worked on the other beds. A lot of them, you'll talk to the individual carpenter, but they will have gentlemen also working with them who they have to pay. If you want a certain finish, like if you want it painted instead of raw natural wood, it's going to cost a little bit more, but they're really good and comfortable with bargaining and negotiating back and forth. And hey, that's too much for me. I'll find somebody else, because there's a million other ones around there. So don't feel stuck and locked into any one particular person, because they will hover around and try to get your business. And you can negotiate with someone else if you feel more comfortable with their craftsmanship and their pricing. And again, they have individuals that can deliver. There's even a yard across the street from the furniture warehousing market, where there are delivery trucks, and you can rent. They'll have the numbers outside on there. You can rent and pick your own furniture up, or you could go over there and arrange with someone to rent it. And just over there, it's like an outside Lowe's, Home Depot's, Ace Hardware kind of area, where you'll find lots of house goods, homeware goods, hardware, construction based equipment, and residential and commercial construction type things. That area has all of that, and that is in Jizozi. There's more to this question. It reads, yes, how to find someone whose pricing was very cheap compared to others, and if they had their sofa was trash instead of proper cushioning. Oh, they stuffed the sofa with trash instead of proper cushioning. Kind of like you get what you pay for. It's true. You do get what you pay for, which is why I'm saying I gave you our experience with regard to using the gentleman at Jizozi Market. We got the furniture. It was brought to us. There was like paint from when they painted the wood. Some of that was on the upholstery on one of the chairs. We're like, you got to clean it before you bring it to us. No, our expectations are different in the West, and some of those have to be tweaked and modified to be fair as well, because you get what you pay for. And we had to keep reminding ourselves of that. It was very, 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 very inexpensive. So keeping that in mind, we ended up having to have some furniture remade, the chairs, as I mentioned, because the quality was not quite as high, but it was very inexpensive. So, to be fair, it was extremely inexpensive. Pardon me, I'm getting a message here. I want to see if any of you guys are trying to communicate with me about a question. Okay. No. All right. The next question is, let me turn it where I can see it. The next question is, how are you? Do the homes in Rwanda have built-in heating? Some of them do, most of them don't, because the climate in Rwanda is wonderful. It feels like spring, fall, all year round. It's cooler, as I mentioned, in rainy season and in the mornings and in the evenings. Particularly during rainy season, it's even cooler in the mornings and in the evening. In the dry season, the days are a little warmer throughout morning and evening. However, even in dry season, the mornings are cooler. The mornings and the evenings are cooler than the middle of the day. And with that being said, they construct their homes, hospitals, retail spaces, residential buildings, everything to allow for a cross breeze. So lots of open spaces. The restaurants are, wide open, big indoor, outdoor type of settings, where you've got your big windows that are usually left open so that the outside climate can cool, the breeze can go through and cool the inside. So I cannot attest to experiencing any heat in Rwanda. I did see heaters when we went in to the downtown area you may have seen a previous video where I talked about as we were preparing to leave, we noticed that there was a lot more for the home that we had seen when we first moved there, and we were looking for stuff to supply our home. So in town or downtown near Kigali City Tower, KCT is what they call it. There's a movie theater down there, a cinema, and in that area there's lots of retail. Anything you can think of, you can buy. It's not far from Chic and from T2000, but it's further up the hill in the downtown area. You can go under that mall, and there are lots of things for homes. I mean, your curtains and linens, shoe racks, laundry racks for if you wash and then you want to hang, everything for the home, hampers, everything, right? And so in there, they have pots and pans and kitchen things. I saw heaters and I saw fans. So if you want to add a space heater, um, I would purchase it there because then it'll be equivalent to their wattage system. Reclaiming our identity is making comment. It is rare to find a house that has its own heating and cooling system. Yes, I concur. You you don't really need it. I mean, when it comes to cooling, like I said, you just open the window. There's usually a breeze blowing through pretty much every day, even in dry season, which is a thing because the breeze brings in dust, and our guard would mop, like get on the hands and knees or whatever with the bucket in the water and mop the floor, and we'd have to wipe off things because the breeze is bringing in that dust from the road if you live in an area that is not fully paved all around you. If you live in a community that's closer to the city and the majority of the streets in your neighborhood or in your residential area are paved, you have less dust to deal with. But we initially lived off of a dirt road that was off of a paved road, but we were down into the subdivision, we'll call it, with lots of dirt. And so the breeze brought in the dust. So keep that in mind. And when it comes to allergies as well, I spoke about allergies in some previous videos. My husband and I talked about that. So make sure you take your allergy medicine. The unpaved roads bring dust. The open windows that allow in the breeze that cools everything brings in the dust. Don't expect to have heating and cooling. I think we may have stayed in an Airbnb or a hotel that had a window unit. They had air conditioning, honey, if you remember that. Hey, Rodman. It's been a minute. How you doing? I'm answering some questions from a viewer, and I'm happy to do this for anyone else, or my husband can do it if I'm not available. We want your questions. We want to be able to help other people with the answers to your questions as well. So there's a question about heating and air. If you're staying in a hotel like the Radisson or the Marriott, those places have heat and air, but most homes are not built with it because you don't, like I said, you don't really need it. And if you go to visit, you'll see what I'm talking about. The climate is wonderful. It's a nice breeze. The temperature is pretty calm. So no heating and air. This person says, I get very cold no matter the weather. So I wanted to know, do the homes have the feature, or does it depend on the house? It depends on the house, but I would venture to say, and I'm not a statistician, I haven't done any research, I don't know, but we visited quite a few homes and office buildings and things of that nature because we made friends and we established community there, and none of them had air conditioning. They would have ceiling fans. We saw some portable fans that you plug up, but never saw a heating unit except for one in the stores. So might want to take a heater. Next question. Any tips and tricks to first time movers to Rwanda? I know that you all experienced your own challenges. So any tips and tricks would be greatly appreciated. Tips and tricks. I think I'll just reiterate what we said before, which is plan to spend a good amount of time looking for your house. Don't expect to find the house in your price range in the region or area that you want to live in. You may find a great house in a more rural, more isolated area on a dirt road, or you may find um, a lower priced home farther away from the city, but you might want to live closer to the city. So just plan out your time. Make sure that you communicate very explicitly and very clearly to the broker that you're communicating with about what you want to see and what you don't want to see, so that your time is not wasted. Make sure that that you're able to communicate with them well. If you have issues with communicating with them, maybe ask for someone else to assist and speak in Kinyarwanda. But you don't want to spend time being taken to houses that don't meet your needs or your preferences. Make a list of what you want and what you expect so that you can remember everything. Because when we're out and about and it's really busy and we have the children and they're hungry or they're not hungry or expressing that, but we're thinking about them, you might forget things. So have your non-negotiables written down, what you need for your family, your price range, whether you need it to be fumigated first, whether you need screens on the windows, whether you need a water heater, because not all of the houses come with a water heater. Some of them just regularly take cold showers or room temperature showers. So you want a water heater on your house if you want to take a hot shower. And then there are different types. They're the ones that you can leave on all the time, and they're the ones that you click on before you get in the shower and give it some time to heat up. So, talk through those things and make sure that what they show you is what you need to see. Hey, family, how about starting a business or opportunity? It depends on the business. There are lots of opportunities for new start there. Some markets are saturated and, already done. So it really depends on the business, but overall, the general consensus is it's not difficult to start a business in Rwanda, getting a permit or applying online. Now, the residential tourists and my husband and I did an interview with them when we talked about how you can apply and that's easy, but then once you get there and you get things on the ground, they want to see a brick and mortar. They don't want you working from home. They don't consider that a actual business, or they could tell you that your business is not needed and you will have already paid for the application, gone through some part of the process, and then be told, well, that's not a service that our community needs, so we're not moving forward with it. So I would search out some entrepreneurs and business owners in your industry or in your field or your area of expertise or passion. Talk specifically to those individuals about starting your business before you get there. The other tricks and tips about brand new movers is when you get there or before you leave to go to Rwanda, my husband and I, based on our experience, would recommend you get an Airbnb for a month or 2 month, a month long rental, not a week long or 2 week long Airbnb, because you want to give yourself the time it takes to look around without having to move your family back and forth. Because if you want to extend your stay at your Airbnb, but they're already booked for another guest, then you have to move out. We experienced that. So definitely give yourself a good space of time at one place that you're comfortable with. Get it vetted, have someone to go look at it physically for you before you go, if you have someone on the ground, or even have the owner. So let's say you don't know anybody personally in Rwanda. If you plan on booking this place or you're interested in it, ask them, can you WhatsApp me and take me to the room and walk me through so that I can see it on video and see exactly what the layout is. If you're planning to be there for a month so that you have time to look for your house, I would suggest you do that, especially if you're going with children. Ask them, do they have an issue with cockroaches? Because some places were amazing, but we came in and the kitchen had cockroach. Our children were not, they couldn't sleep through the night like that. So we asked for a refund and leave, and they were gracious enough to do that. Other tips: vehicle, budget a good amount of money. Babe, I'm going to ask you to chime in on this. How much would you suggest someone, if you're still able to watch? My husband has gone to help out with a community service event for our church. You all know he's a pastor, and we're big on helping the community, and they are distributing groceries, bags of groceries to the community from our community center, which is called Better Living. And so he's preoccupied, but if he's still there, I want to say that we spent 8,500 on our vehicle, and we had some mechanical problems the whole entire time, which was extremely stressful. It's hard to find a newer car in that price range with that budget, because they import the vehicles, so they're very expensive and they have to pay taxes on them. So you might want to save up 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 for a car that's not going to give you any problems. Our friends that were from Chicago, I feel like maybe they spent about 10,000 on their car, and they had a Kia that was probably like I would be guessing if I said what year, but it was a newer model than ours. Ours was a 2008. I should know that. It was either 2008 or 2012, but it was an older model. So, trips and tips, tricks and tips. Get an Airbnb for a month or two, not a week or two. Write down your list of non-negotiables for your real estate search. Make sure your broker knows exactly what you want and tell them please don't take you anywhere else that does not have your non-negotiables. Ask them to please make sure that they are on time. You have a schedule to keep or what have you, and line up the times that you're going to see your houses so that they will know you've got other things to do, whatever. If you're flexible, you can let them know that too. Budget a good amount of money for a vehicle that is not going to give you mechanical problems, because then you got the other issue of finding a mechanic that you can trust that's going to work with your car in a timely manner and get it back to you in good shape without overcharging. And that's a whole nother issue you can prevent on the front end by spending a little bit more on your car. I would recommend that. Take all the things that you absolutely love and won't regret being without. If you don't need them, then you have them and you don't need them. But certain things you want to have, take them. Don't expect to just get them inexpensively there in Rwanda. And another tip is you can pack up the plastic storage crates. Ask to purchase cargo space on your flight. If they need all this space for the airline travelers and their luggage, then they'll put your things on the next flight or the flight prior to that. But you can talk to a booking agent, tell them that you're moving. Can I please transport some of my home goods and personal items, housewares and things of that nature with me on my flight, or can you book those on another flight? And then you don't have to worry about shipping them over. You just you make your own inventory list and you provide that to the airline, and you pay for cargo space. That's another recommendation I would have. We would have brought more and reserved some cargo space so that we would not have to spend as much time looking for things to equip our home with. The next question is, what's the best month to move to Rwanda? I don't want to move there at a bad season. I plan moving next year, but is there a month that's most ideal to move to Rwanda? I would say that I can't honestly answer that question about the best month to move. I know that when we moved there in was it end of July, August, so July, August, it's dry season. You don't have to deal with the rain. I would I would recommend going then. It's hot. And by hot, I mean like it's a little bit warmer than warm because they don't have super hot. Maybe 96 might have been the hottest temperature that we experienced there. But I would go during the dry season. So Google the dry season and try to move during that time, because we were able to get out in the streets. I'm talking, we were out every day, like from 9 to 6, looking at houses, looking for cars, going to visit schools and do tours, and we didn't have to deal with the rain. And even when it is rainy season, there's a short rainy season and a long rainy season. Even during rainy season, it would be a shower and then it would stop most of the days. So, if it showered in the morning or through the night, it was done in the morning, and you had, the sun would come out and it would be pretty dry and you could get around town and navigate. And and I suggest dry season because we didn't have a car at the time. So we were getting transportation until we rented a car. Car rental, another trick and tip. If you're moving and you plan to rent a car while you're looking for a car, drive the car with the person who is renting it before you pay for it, because we rented some lemons. We rented some things that should never even legally be on the road. And people can rent their own personal vehicles. Their brokers who would say, "Oh, you need a rental car? Okay, I'm gonna leave my car with my wife and let you rent hers." And they just rent in their own stuff. It's not like, and they have rental car agencies. They have companies as well. They cost a little bit more. But you get what you pay for again, and you can get that peace of mind. But literally, they can rent with the bolts falling off, the steering wheel not turning, no side mirror, no rear view mirror, roaches coming out of the back seat. They can rent whatever. because it's not really regulated. You just WhatsApp somebody. I heard you had a car for rent. I need it for a week. They're like, okay, that'll be $100 for the whole week. They'll bring it to you and get on a moto and go away, and then they'll come back and pick it up on a moto, whatever. So if you're going to rent a car while you're looking for a car, to save money on not having to get VW Move or Yago every day. If you plan to rent a car, vet the car, walk all around it, look all around, open all the everything, close all the everything, look under the hood, and drive it. Because we got a car that the brakes were not working, and it's very hilly in Rwanda. You don't want to be in a car where the brakes aren't working. Okay, take it from your sis and drive the car, and then you can see if it's going to work, and you work out and tell them no thank you, or yeah, I'll go ahead and keep it. And I would move during the dry season so that you could get out and about and move around without having to worry about the rain. But again, as I said, if it's less expensive travel wise for airfare to go during the rainy season, which it usually is like around October, not too expensive to travel, just take a poncho, small umbrella. The rain should not be a huge barrier. Some days it rains hard and it rains long. And other days, like I said, it's a shower and it's gone, kind of like a Florida shower and then it's gone. It's not a whole Seattle thing or a monsoon in the Polynesian islands kind of rain that you get in Rwanda. Occasionally, I want to be clear. Occasionally, we did have some long rainy days, 1, 2, or 3, not very many in a week. Mostly a light to moderate shower. Then it'll go, and then sometimes you're looking at it, it didn't even look like it rained that day because the sun has come out and everything is dry. But I would move during the dry season if I could. Next question. What lessons have you learned living in Rwanda? Was there anything that was a shock to you or unexpected? Um, the shock, hmm, there were a couple things unexpected because the people were so nice. So experiencing sometimes when you be in the store and somebody would just get in front of you and put their groceries down as if you're not even there, like you're not even a person or you don't matter, or you're in the bank and people come stand next to you, or people are getting in front of you in line at the bank where your personal private financial information is out. And it's like, huh? Well, but I'm right here. This is my stuff. Like, what are you for real? That was a shock and that was unexpected because I was like, they're so nice. How can you be so rude and oblivious to the fact that this is my time? It's my turn. What are you doing? That was shocking. Um, the was the traffic a shock? No, because we've traveled to other African countries and even Latin American countries, Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and they drive crazy. So that wasn't necessarily a shock either. Some of the explanations and the understanding or the lack of understanding of Black American history shocked me, and the questions that my children would get at school with relationship to that, or the children's their understanding of what racism is, because one of my children was called racist because her friends happened to be lighter in complexion. They just happen to be. My daughter is a come one, come all. She's the advocate for the underdog. She's gonna be everybody's friend. You're not gonna talk about anybody. We're gonna treat everybody like we want to be treated. No, you're not doing that. I'm not having it. I don't care what color you are. I'm gonna love you because that's what Jesus wants me to do. That's how my child is. And so when she was called racist, fortunately she's well prepared and educated and knows what racism is, and she was able to educate the other person and say, what are you talking about? That's not even what racism is. That's colorism, number one, and bias, and I'm neither of those. So what are you talking about? But she was surprised because we told her, we're taking you to the motherland where you're going to have a sense of belonging because everybody looks like you and everybody's going to kind of understand, and everybody doesn't understand. The Black American story is not one that is prevalent there. They have their own history. They have their own story, with the genocide and their own trauma from that. So they're not preoccupied with ours. And you kind of go expecting them to know, and it's not widely known and understood, the transatlantic slave trade and the post-slave trauma that we experience and why we are in the plight that we are in America. That's not something widely known. They're in East Africa, not West Africa, where most of us were taken from. So the understanding there is less than what I anticipated, even coming from the academic, the administrators and the teachers. One particular teacher was, he just thought Black Americans were loathsome and lazy or ghetto and what have you. And it came across in how he interacted with our children, our daughter, until we had a good conversation with him, which is a teaching and learning opportunity. Um, so those were shockers and those were unexpected to me. I expect to be accepted like sister, family, and that's more of our experience on the west coast of the continent than it was in Rwanda. Is tipping expected and or required in Rwanda? If you're an expat, they expect it. If you have an American accent or a British accent, they know we tip, because when lots of people who come through and travel, they do. And so word gets around, look, Americans tip. So if you have an American accent, they kind of expect you to, but they're not going to say anything. If you don't, nobody's going to say, you're never going to know. It's just like a common understanding that people who travel, visitors and tourists, are accustomed in their countries to tipping. So they're probably going to tip me. It's probably what the waiter or whomever is thinking, the service provider or the taxi person, because they know you're not Rwandan. They don't expect Rwandans to tip. Tipping is not something that Rwandans do or expect or experience from each other. So like I said, if you do not tip, if you choose not to tip, then that's up to you. You don't have to tip. They will not be angry or upset. They don't expect it necessarily, but somewhat they do they think Americans and Westerners are wealthy. You got the money to travel there and stay in a hotel. That most of them aren't traveling abroad and staying in hotels and renting cars and going shopping and going out to restaurants. They're eating at home. So since you have the money to do that, they assume you probably have a little bit of extra something, and you might most likely tip. So they kind of, because you're a tourist and you're American or you're from the West or Europe or wherever, America and Europe are the West. I do realize that. But if you're from somewhere else outside of the continent, it's not unusual for them to think that you're probably going to tip them. But as I said, they won't be angry if you don't, because there were plenty of times that we didn't, especially if the price of what it was we felt was um, reasonable and fair already, and the service was not extraordinary on top of that. Then we just didn't tip. We paid what the service was worth. Um, if the price was, if it was, a lot of things are very underpriced. Like it's, I remember thinking, do they start everything at 25? Like they ask, 25 is the price that they ask for a lot of things. In my experience with, you know, getting hair done was even less than that. Getting a whole shampoo, condition, deep condition, blowout, flat press was like $10. I paid more than that. So they might consider it a tip. I'm going to pay what I felt the service was worth or what I would pay in the US, because I have US currency that I can deal with. Not everyone has that. If you work in a Rwandan job, making Rwandan currency on their scale of their ecosystem economically, and you paying with Rwandan francs, you might pay what they're asking. Um, so yeah, I felt like if the price was fair and honest and reasonable as it was, and the service was not extraordinary or over the top, then I didn't need to tip. I would pay what they asked. If it was extremely lower than they should be charging for their service, I would pay what I felt the service was worth, and that extra could be considered to them a tip, whatever. I'm just paying more than they charged. Manicures, pedicures, so cheap. I would get $4 pedicures, gel pedicure, $4. But that's when we lived in Kagarama, and I would walk, down the dirt road to the little village spot, which was clean and decent and reasonable, not busy or overcrowded. And that's what those were the prices listed on the wall, 4,000, and they were like, we're having a sale. I think it was $5,000 normally, $5,000, 5,000 Rwandan franc normally for the pedicure. And they were having a sale that day and it was 4,000. Let me give you 15, because that's, I mean, they take their time. Those are the longest, most meticulous caregiving pedicures you ever gonna get. And they don't rush through it, and they not using a whole lot of drills and everything. Hand everything, pouring water from a kettle into a bucket, scrubbing. So you deserve more than $4. That's what I'm going to pay. Next question. Are the things you have to pay monthly for in the States the same as in Rwanda? Are the things you have to pay monthly for in the States the same as in Rwanda? You have to pay for water, electricity, um, trash. So the someone from the village or sector um, department for village services, I'll call it, I'm just making that up, would come around once a month and collect $5 for trash, because they pick up the trash weekly, and that was five, or may have been 5.50. And then for like the neighborhood watch, there are people that they say walk around at night to kind of keep an eye on people's homes in the sectors in your neighborhood groupings, and they ask for $5 for that as well. So 5,000 Rwandan francs for each of them, trash. And so you would pay, like I said, your electricity, you set that up. You can pay on your power box. So you put money directly with a code that's linked to your mobile money. You put in your mobile money code, you put in the code, whatever, onto the box itself, and then you top up or add power and electricity for your home. So, and I can't, I'll have to find out and put in the chat if it rolls over, because I think it doesn't. And it was suggested that you pay for your power the first of the month, because they give you extra wattage on the first day of the month. If you pay, like, let's say you estimate that it's going to cost about 45,000 franc for your family to have enough electricity for the month. That's $45, right? For the whole month. Put that on the first of the month, on day one, and let that carry you through, because you're going to get a little bit more credit toward your power on the first day than you will any other day of the month. So I would suggest, try it, get there, see for the first month how much power it looks like you're using. And then once you establish, that's how much you're going to use, put that on day one so it carries you. And then it'll be beep, 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 beep when you need to add some more. So you'll know, okay, no, we needed to add $5 more to get us to that next day, or whatever. So that's how you do that. You pay for the electricity on the box. And then, utility bills, as far as internet and cable, those are monthly, and it will straight cut off. The first time I was like, what's happening to the internet? They did not send a bill. This was, who did we have? Canal box? I think it was Canal. In the States, you used to get in an electronic bill, or they automatically take it out if you have it set up for auto pay, or at least an email saying that your bill is going to be due such and such date, and then you pay it, and then it carries over. But and so I guess my husband forgot and didn't set the date that we had purchased our internet in our first month there, for 2 days, like we were without it until they could get it reset again, because he didn't pay on the 28th day after day one. So yes, typically, to answer your question, the monthly bills are the same. Your rent, our friend whose questions I am answering had also asked, do you pay your rent by mobile money? And my answer is, it depends on the homeowner. It depends on your landlord, who you are renting from. They will tell you their preference for which to receive payment. Both of the homes that we lived in when we were in Rwanda were owned by, one of them was owned by a gentleman and his wife who are Rwandese and lived in Rwanda, and they wanted to be paid in Rwandan franc through mobile money. So that's how my husband did. He would just go on his app, send the payment in Rwandan francs, because we have been told that legally they cannot request any other currency. You live in Rwanda, in a Rwandan house, the currency of the country is Rwandan franc. That is what you're supposed to be required to pay in. We were going to put in an application on another home, and the homeowner lived in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and had a PayPal account and wanted USD. We did not go through with the house. We got another one. And the homeowner for that house, the last house we lived in, which was a 5-bedroom house that we rented for $800 a month, 800,000. Rwandan francs would have been, but it was $800. He was Belgian. No. He was from Burundi, but he had just moved to Belgium the week we were signing our contract and couldn't do anything with Rwandan franc, obviously, because he didn't live in Rwanda. He had a PayPal account. He wanted USD, which my husband would send him via PayPal. So it just depends on your homeowner. If you want them to stick to the law of the land, which is Rwandan francs, then you have to go through that with them. If you need to litigate on it or report anything about it, communicate with RDB. My son is asking a question in about 5 minutes. I'm almost done. We have to go to a fundraiser for the school. I'm telling you, getting back to the States busy. That's why it's taking me so long to do this video. So the children are baking cakes, and my daughter's crocheting things to sell. She's very artsy and craftsy. My son is going to help out with some of the booths, and we have to go help them set up for this fundraiser at the school, which is a fair. And they're wanting to know, when are we leaving, mommy? So yeah, so you just talk to the person. You make sure that it goes into the contract how you're going to pay. Is it going to be the first of the month? Do you have the first through the fifth of the month to pay? Are you going to do it online? Are you going to do it check, cat, whatever? You guys will establish that. It's up to the homeowner to do that, to establish that with you. And one of them requested something that we couldn't do. We're like, well, we would have to transfer our money from USD to Rwandan francs, and that costs money. When you do currency exchange, you got to lose a little bit because you pay for the service of exchanging the currency. So I think with the last one, it was just easier to keep it PayPal. We had money in the US account, so we just did it that way, and that worked for us. Do what works for you and what you know is going to be feasible and most cost effective, most time efficient, and communicate that with the landlord, and make sure you put it in your contract, and you should be good to go. The answer is there are several different ways that they can accept forms of payment. Mobile money, some of them have Apple Pay, and PayPal, and I don't know if Cash App is international now, but World Remit and some other forms. It's just up to you and your landlord. Question number 10. Do you have to pay taxes in Rwanda like you do in the States? The answer is yes. But we never filed taxes there because we did not work Rwandan jobs. So if you work in Rwanda, you work a Rwandan job, taxes will be taken out of your check, and then you file taxes just like you do here. If you're a business owner, and an entrepreneur, you pay those various business taxes because the residential tourists own Ikawa Cafe. And I know that she spoke about them having to pay taxes and do things a certain way for their business. Also, if you are a homeowner and you are using that as a business and you're renting it out and you're getting income from that, you have to pay taxes on that as well. My husband and I tutored English online for a company outside of Rwanda. It was not Rwandan based, so we did not earn Rwandan currency. We earned US currency. We would pay our taxes through the US because we made USD and we were paid in our US accounts. So, but when you go buy groceries, you'll see on your receipt, or if you buy clothes or anything from the retail stores, you pay taxes. Now, there are even some like your mom and pop or husband, wife owned small businesses, especially at the market or the outside fresh market or the little stalls and booths set outside KCT and up near Chic and all those places. I remember one time my husband paid with mobile money, and he asked him to please wait. I need to send a pin so I can send you your invoice, because he wanted to make sure that it was on his taxes because he's a business owner and he wanted to make sure that he charged my husband tax. So most of the time we'd be like, we need this broom, or we need this ironing board, or we need this iron or this lamp. And how much is it? Okay, it's 10,000 francs. So we give them either the 10,000 francs in cash and we walk away. We were done with the transaction. But I remember buying 2 comforter sets, and I think they're about 20, bed in a bag, the whole thing, from a vendor in the downtown area. And he asked, we paid and we're ready to walk away. My husband bid Momo and was like, okay, you good? Did you get it? He confirmed he got it. We were walking away. He was like, wait, hold on. I need to go in and do my PIN for an invoice for taxes so I can make sure that the taxes are billed. So that answers that question number 10. That's all of them. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email it to us. I think I said our email address wrong. It's crazy that I even did that. Let me see. It is destination. I want to confirm. It's on our YouTube page if you look at our about information, but I just want to make sure it's destinationwestafrica@gmail.com. There's no number. We used to have a year number behind it. So it's just destinationwestafrica@gmail.com. You can email Reclaiming Our Identity and ask us your questions or send us your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. And I hope that it's been helpful. Home on the Hill. Liquid is good. Yeah, liquid I heard is better than Canal. It might be a little bit more expensive. You know what? We had liquid to come out and the guy left and didn't give us any paperwork, didn't tell us when it was going to start, if it was going to be set up, but it did treat us a little bit better than Canal Box until something happened. And then we switched back to Canal Box. So thank you for that. I appreciate you letting us or reminding me about liquid. What else do you have? They normally send you a notification 3 days before your next payment. Oh, well, there you have it, because Canal sure didn't. So thank you, Home on the Hill. Liquid will send you a reminder to let you know that your bill is due so that you can pay it, so that you won't get on your computer or your device and just happen to suddenly determine that you are internet free. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? If not, I'm going to say goodbye for now. If you find this information helpful, please hit that like button. I should have asked a long time ago. It's been an hour. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Subscribe, hit the like button, share this video. Hopefully these questions will answer some questions that other people in your life may have, or just anybody here on internet world. It could be helpful too. Take care. Wish everybody well. Have a good Sunday.